Welcome back to another episode of Jeff's House, and as you can see here, I'm in my ensuite bathroom moving ahead. Last episode, if you remember, I'd done the lower half of the bathroom, but in my absent-mindedness, I'd only ordered enough for the lower sheets and not for the upper sheets. So I went back and got the upper sheets, and as you might see in the background here, I ordered the wrong width sheets. So of course they're a bit low, and I already cut one out before I even started, and it was like, may as well keep going now. I could have taken them back and stuffed around, but I've got enough offcuts. It just means more labour for me, is going around and putting the offcuts all the way around the top and flushing it all in. So not a big deal, just more labour, more of a pain in the backside. The other thing that I just realised this morning that I forgot is that on this back wall here, I'm going to put my showers. And what I wanted to have was the inset recesses for putting shampoo and crap. And I didn't do that, did I? So now I have to go back and punch holes in the wall and put the recesses in. So that's my first job. Just take you through here and show you what the guys have been up to. I've had the waterproofers come in and waterproof this area. Now, it is something that I have done myself in the past, but because this is an extension that has to be all approved by council, you actually need a certificate to cover your waterproofing. So I wasn't allowed to do it, so that is now all done and sorted. And also I've had the electrician out, and he's also connected up all of our lights, and PowerPoints are now all connected. So now it's time to move on to the plastering. Alright, so it's time to start plastering, and the first thing I need to do is to tape up all the joints. My brother, who does a lot of this sort of stuff, he likes to use a paper tape. I have never really used the paper tape. I've always used this stuff. I found it's easy to use. It's a mesh tape. It's sticky on the back, so it sticks on easily. It makes a very quick and easy job to tape it up and just stick it on. The issue with the paper tape is usually with the paper tape you need to put a skim coat on first and lay the paper over, or wet the paper in a watery plaster mix and then stick it on. It's a messy job, and it's this is much cleaner and easier. The only issues you do come across with this, if you don't give it a good enough skim coat over the top and sand it back too far, sometimes you can actually see the weave through it. So you just have to make sure you put a bit of extra layer on it. But anyway, let's start putting this on. Alright, now it's time to mix up the base coat. Now, a lot of people I know, my brother included, like using a bucket and then they scoop the bucket out onto the trowel or whatever. I have found that these sort of plastering trays make life a lot easier. They're cheap and easy, and basically it lets you use your scraper straight in there and out, and you don't have to mess around with a smaller blade getting out of the bucket and then try and wipe it on your trowel or whatever. For me, this makes life a lot easier. The only thing is you've got to be a little less rough when you're mixing up the plaster in this bucket, because otherwise you flick it everywhere. I've got my plaster mixed up and I'm going to start laying on the wall. For me, I like using this large, quite a flexible trowel. And my brother likes using a narrower, like a much stiffer trowel. I personally like this better. I find it's easier to get a smooth finish, and I'm not going backwards and forwards a lot trying to neaten it out, but whatever works. And that's it. I find the first layer, just a quick skim. Don't spend too much time stuffing around, because you're going to come back twice more anyway. For the corners, I find you can get like a right angle corner tool to lay it in there. I don't like them very much. I find I struggle backwards and forwards with it too much. I just not like having the nice square edge on the edge of the trowel, and I'll lay it all in, spread it one way and then spread it the other way. The only thing is, I find, try and finish it up all on one side. So say the left hand side of the corner for the first round, and then when you come back for your second coat, do it on the right hand side of the corner. Because what I find is often when you lay it on, you can dig in a little bit into the opposite side. So as long as you've got one good solid edge all the way through, then when you come back and do it from the other side, it will also have a solid edge, and it will all balance out nicely and have a nice crisp square corner. At least that's what works for me. One more quick thing to watch out for is when you are running up in the corners, you have to be quite careful of the corners of the trowel with the tape, because if you press too hard, sometimes you can actually tear a hole in the middle of the tape and making the tape pointless, and it can crack in that edge. So another tip I found out the hard way. Alright, so I've left this plaster now for a few days to set up, and that's the first coat done, so now we have to sand it. Now I'm going to use the greatest tool I ever bought. This was not overly expensive, it's just a cheap Chinese thing, but it's the pole sander with the vacuum attachment, with the vacuum. I think the whole thing cost me about $300, including the vacuum, the shop vacuum, and it is fantastic. It makes life so much easier. And so I'll just whiz around here now with this and yeah, give it its first sand. Round one is all done and sanded. As you might notice, I don't know if you can see, there's dust in there everywhere, because when I went through and did the corners, I used the small orbital sander, and I didn't connect it up to the vacuum straight away, which was stupid because I know I had this fitting, I just couldn't bother going to get it. It's definitely worth connecting up to the vacuum because it makes it so much nicer and cleaner and less dust on me and everywhere. So now, round two of plastering. Alright, so I came out here the other day and I had a bunch of road base delivered, and I had this Bobcat and I was working with it. It was raining, I got the Bobcat bogged twice. I didn't film it, but I thought I've got to get back out here today. It's had a few days to dry up, so hopefully I can keep working and level out about a bit of this mess and tidy some things up. So let's get bobcatting. Alright, so I've given myself a much bigger parking bay here, and I've got another pad down the bottom here for a garden shed, so I can get the ride on out of the garage and give myself some more garage space. So this is much better, gives me much more space for my trailers. I've got to roll it and still finish it off, but that's enough for this week. Next time I'll get in and finish off doing the plastering, and yeah, we'll be moving along. I'm getting there, just really slowly. Alright guys, see you later.